I should fix it. Oh. This is weird. This is weird. Oh my goodness. Driving me nuts. Why isn't this saving? Finally.
Every day I walk alone, I see myself on the grand old throne. But it's not true, cause it's all in my head, all in my head. Share my thoughts, see my world. I can't describe how I miss you, girl. If life goes on, I will wait until the time you reawake. Every day I walk alone, I see myself on the grand old throne. But it's not true, cause it's all in my head, all in my head. Share my thoughts, see my world. I can't describe how I miss you, girl. If life goes on, I will wait until the time you reawake.
Lately forgiven, gave my name to all of them. Gave my name. I know what worst of it all is that I can't keep my heart straight. And the worst of it all is that I can't keep my heart straight. Seasons of the past, laying low in the day, memories fade away. Lately forgiven, gave my name to all of them. Gave my name. And the worst of it all is that I can't keep my heart straight. And the worst of it all is that I can't keep my heart straight. When it passes through my head, just believe me when I say seasons of the past, laying low in the day, memories fade away.
All right. Started off. All right. Started. So I gotta send some invites out. I see my bot didn't work. All right. I put the invites out. Cut the music. Down to the news. So, let's see. Start with Okay, here we go.
How will life support systems work on ships? So each room will have a volume. Each volume can hold an amount of gas. They will track the gas in every single room. Ships have life support systems which produce oxygen, which is consumed by players, and some of that gas will be oxygen. The rate at which oxygen will deplete depends on the size of the room, the amount of players breathing, what they're doing, because some actions consume more oxygen. The more lively you are, the more oxygen you breathe. The
I'm
amount
doing
of
good, wise man.
life support systems will also affect the amount of oxygen that's going to be there. If there are none, then it will literally just be the volume of the room. Wearing a helmet will have you using your own oxygen tank rather than a life support system. They employed a valid tactic in the future, maybe locking doors and turning off oxygen producers on a ship to kill some of the crew or kill certain people in rooms, or at least make them panic so they've got to put on suits and take time. Obviously, this is something that they were thinking of rather than confirming. Are we getting more key bindings for actions and cockpit interaction? The short answer is yes. The intention is to have as many shortcuts as the devs can get into the game as bindable actions. Not everyone wants to use Inner Thought, and HOTAS players and players using other peripherals will need bindable keys to allow them the same accessibility to functions. Inner Thought actions are coming first though, and then key bindings will be added later. This is also going to be great for third-party apps and peripherals that use various key bindings, Stream Decks that want to be set up as control panels, tablets as well, voice attack, control devices, and more. Anything that uses key bindings will be able to make use of this. Is there a way to avoid PvP entirely?
That's a lot of buttons. I'm already getting lost with all the buttons. That's a lot of buttons.
In the persistent universe. Star Citizen's PU is multiplayer. There is no way to guarantee that other players won't try to attack or interact with you in some way, and people can judge certain interactions as negative as well as positive. They will have lawful space for peaceful players, however, they know that some players will almost certainly find ways around that. If you are genuinely being griefed, you will have to open a support ticket. They are going to try and make the rules as strict as possible in places where people start and may be learning to play. There are going to be sectors of space like the core UEE worlds, which are going to be more relaxed and much more PvE. They're also going to try and make it unappealing for advanced players to go to those areas so much. More advanced people will get pulled to richer areas. Security forces will defend players being attacked in certain systems. They want to try and find a good balance to support players who are legitimately being pirates as well, as it is core to the gameplay of the game. Basically, Star Citizen's multiplayer, that's part of the fun, but you can minimise your potential of getting attacked by players. Although, remember, there are still NPCs that are pirates that will pull you out of quantum drive and stuff and try to attack you. What kind of non-combat personal equipment is planned for the future? So, they've talked about the Pyro multi-tool before. It has several attachments that you can use. It's basically like a Swiss Army knife. There's a cutting attachment to cut through some specific surfaces, maybe locked panels or entries into vents and things like that. Not every bulkhead, just some like smaller areas. There is also a repair and salvage attachment. You'll be able to attach a repair canister to this, and that's going to allow you to repair minor external or hull damage on ships. It's not going to replace a wing, but it will fill in a hole. It was also referred to as a salvage attachment, so I'm assuming you may be able to cut pieces off of hulls with it for helping you salvage with the Vulture or whatever. There is also a mini tractor beam attachment, which will allow you to push and pull objects in 0G. You're going to have to pull yourself towards heavy objects or pull light objects towards you like crates and cargo. They are also prototyping various other gadgets, obviously have the oxygen and medipens in game already. They are talking about consumables like drugs and stims, various types of mine, remote turrets, throwable shields, explosives, and more that may potentially make it into the game. They did also talk about explosive salvage charges previously in conjunction with the Vulture and the salvage mechanics for the sort of like EVA salvage, blow parts off a ship and then get the Vulture to nom it up. A lot of this stuff is on the backlog and will be put into the game when they can. A couple of other things that were in the news that I saw. The Orion is now going to give you a Prospector as a loaner ship, so you can try mining, which is good. I was hoping that more and more ships would give the Prospector as a loaner ship. And the 600i is going to be the loaner ship for the 890 jump later this week. Also, with the release of Alpha 3.2, they are looking ahead at making improvements and refining the patch. So, expect to see potential hotfixes and mini patches for 3.2 in the very near future. To celebrate the release of 3.2, myself and a multitude of other Star Citizen streamers are fundraising for Special Effect with a series of streams over the week until the 7th of July. There will be ship giveaways across the various streams too. Go to justgiving.com/fundraising/star-citizen-special effect to find out more and get involved. I'm also giving away a Saber Raven to a random commenter on one of my videos during that time too. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my videos made this week to be in for a chance of winning, including this one. Also, Shadow stuff. Be sure to check out Shadow. It's a cloud-based alternative to getting or upgrading your gaming PC. It allows you to leverage the power of a GeForce 1080 at the moment and a powerful Windows 10 PC on almost any device, so long as your internet connection is good enough. It works with Star Citizen Alpha 3.2, and with 3.3 coming in September, with Object Container Streaming, it's only going to get better. Shadow is available in France, Germany, United States, United Kingdom, Belgium, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. If you do try it out, be sure to use the code BOARDGAMER to get a discount. Links to more info in the description below. A special thank you to my Patreons and all the people that watch my videos.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So you can have a computer in the cloud, make it run Star Citizen.
Videos and all that sort of jazz. You guys are awesome. If you want to support the channel further, there's links below as well with the Patreon donations and all that sort of jazz as well. You guys are amazing. You take care, and I'll see you in the verse.
Okay, here's the link. Make sure you comment on this video for a chance to win the Saber Raven. And another one by Board, I do believe.
Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen Alpha 3.2 quick start guide for the Persistent Universe, intended to give you a quick rundown of the state of Star Citizen now, how you can get involved, and the basics of what you can do in the verse, kind of allowing you to hit the ground running. It's intended for new players. Alpha 3.2 is the latest update to Star Citizen. Please bear in mind that the game now is a raw alpha of mechanics and features as they are getting implemented, just dropped into game, and it is intended for the purposes of giving feedback and helping develop the game and its individual elements through iteration and community feedback. Heavy balance and a refined finalized system for everything else will be coming much further down the line. As such, Star Citizen is only suitable for players who want to get involved with that type of open development at this stage anyway. Game packages. To play Star Citizen, you need a game package. They are $45 and come with a choice of 2 ships, an Aurora MR or a Mustang Alpha. You can upgrade your ship later if you so wish. However, the Mustang Alpha is my preference, but it's your starter ship, so you can choose whatever you like the look of most. The Mustang Alpha is worth $5 more if you upgrade it in the future, though. Everything else will be obtainable in-game in the future. Alpha 3.3 in September is planned to have ships purchasable with the in-game currency, Alpha UEC. You can rent ships with Rec in Arena Commander now even. Once you have installed and ran the game, click Universe. You'll be prompted to create an avatar. You can change this later though. Click Crusader. If you have any friends that are playing, basically people that are added to your contacts list, you can join them from here, or you can click Visit Location to enter the verse. You'll wake up in a small bedroom on Port Olisar. Press H to get out of your bed. Pressing H in general will allow you to leave any seat or station in the game. Pressing H is your friend. Walk to the door and interact with it by holding F down and left-clicking the lock to open it. When you hold F, you will see an orange highlight if you are close to an object that can be interacted with, such as airlocks, doors, consoles, terminals, seats, cockpits, lots of different things. Spawning a ship. Leave the hab area and make your way down the nearest set of stairs to the central terminal room. In Port Olisar, this is where you spawn a ship. There is a big selection of terminals to use. They all do the same thing in that central room. Interact with the console, holding F again, and then left clicking. Select your ship that you want to spawn by clicking retrieve on that ship. The terminal will tell you where to locate your ship. It will say it's on B pad 0 or whatever. You can follow the signs to get there, but make sure you remember where it is. It is also shown on your HUD, so please bear that in mind. If you lose your ship or it gets destroyed, you will need to click the claim button. You'll have to wait a few minutes or pay expedite fee of in-game currency to get that ship quicker. If you want to try and track a stolen or lost ship, you can click the track button. Once you're at your ship, you want to get into your ship. You may have to enter the cockpit seat separately depending on your ship, but enter through the door by holding F again, and then open the door, and then go up to the seat and use the seat. Alternatively, some ships you will just literally go in straight through the cockpit. There will be like a set of stairs or an interactable object near where the cockpit actually is. Now, you want to turn on your ship now. This can be a daunting process. Hold F and find the flight ready button on the dashboard and then left click it. Alternatively, you can set a key for this in options, keybinds, flight, cockpit, and basically at some point it is worth customizing your controls. Flight ready mode, toggling it is worth setting to a key, most certainly. Now, your ship's moving. You can control your throttle with W and S on the keyboard. You can toggle your landing gear by pressing N. Pressing control will move you down. Space will move you up. A and D will strafe you. Q and E will roll you. If you just want to take off simply, just press space and you will take off. We'll go over landing quick while we're here as well. The Mobiglass allows you to interact with various apps that you'll need in the verse. Press F1 to toggle it on. Press backspace to go back to the main Mobiglass screen if you're in an app. Now, if you want to land on a station or major landing zone place such as Port Olisar, Grimhex, or Levski, you need to request landing permission, otherwise you will get a criminal rating. Select the comlink button on the bottom left of the Mobiglass, then find the appropriate ATC, air traffic control, or landing request for the area. This will assign you a landing zone when you clicked on it, which will show up on your HUD in green. Make sure your landing gear is down by pressing N and fly over to it. You can hold N once you're over the area to auto land, or you can use control again to edge down. Your ship will go into storage at the station after a certain amount of time, but once you're landed on the pad,
I never seen the red around the pads.
Ship. There are various missions to do in the verse, which you can access from the contract manager on your Mobiglass. F1 to access your Mobiglass, and the bottom right icon is the contract manager. Just select a mission there and accept it. I recommend only accepting one at a time though, especially when you're just starting to learn the game. It will then appear as a marker on your star map and on your HUD. The star map. So the star icon at the bottom of the menu is used to plot long-range quantum jumps. You'll be able to use your mouse to move around and mouse wheel in and out. It will take a little bit getting used to. Some things won't appear unless you're zoomed in close enough or you're near another astral body. Double click to zoom into a moon or station. Left click to select a destination and then click on the set destination to mark the location on your map and get it ready for quantum travel. You may have to set a route that avoids objects that are in your way, or you might have to target the largest object next to something that you want to go to. So in the case of trying to go to a station, you'll have to go to the nearby moon first. I'd recommend you accept a mission and then see where that mission is and plot a course there, or just select Daymar, for example, to travel to on the star map. To travel to that location, exit the Mobiglass, and from the cockpit of your ship, press B. This will activate the quantum travel mode. You then want to align your cursor to the location that you want to travel to on your screen. This will calibrate your drive, counting to 100%. Press B once again to spool your drive, and then again it will count to 100% to spool it, and then hold B to initiate quantum travel. Interdiction. Be aware that you can be pulled out of quantum travel by pirates. You will have to either fight them off or request help via the service beacon combat assist, which you can find in the contract manager, the mission section again, of the Moby-Glass. You can also request transportation if you get stuck or want to be taken elsewhere. Combat. Some missions or parts of the game may require you to engage in ship-to-ship combat. Targeting hostile ships and probes can be done by pressing Y to select the closest enemy. Press T. By default, your weapon groups will be left and right mouse button. There is a lot going on with combat, but just try to keep the pip on the target while you fire if you're new. Some areas close to the major landing zones, like Port Olisar, are armistice zones or white zones, where you cannot engage in combat. Some people may occasionally ram you though, the monsters. If you want to land on a moon, travel to one first, and then once you're nearby, you can press B without setting an additional destination on your Moby-Glass. You will see local destinations that you can just calibrate and spool your drive to. This can also be local stations. Press B to spool your drive again after you've calibrated to the location that you want to go to, and this can be a specific outpost or a location on the actual moon, and then hold B again to quick travel to just above that location. You can do it to orbital markers as well, which are dotted around each moon. And then you can travel down to the surface quicker. Be sure to press N to deploy your landing gear when you're very near the surface, and try not to come straight down like a missile. Holding Shift will use Afterburner, allowing you to travel much quicker while moving in a straight line. It does burn Afterburner fuel, so bear that in mind. You don't have an infinite amount of that. Use this to get to the surface quicker or escape enemies. Also, when outside on a moon or in space, you do have an oxygen gauge. You'll need to enter a ship or building to refill it at this stage. You can also get oxygen pens, but that's more advanced. Transport missions may require you to pick up a box and deliver it elsewhere. Just read the mission and follow the waypoints. They are normally detailed enough so that you don't get too lost. Some facilities on the moons will allow you to spawn snubcraft and ground vehicles. Left Alt and backspace will force kill you. This is very useful if you get stuck. Also, if you need to self-destruct your ship for some reason because of a bug, press backspace. That will initiate self-destruct. Shopping. There are various shops and facilities around the game with terminals where you can buy and sell items. You can go over to an item as well on a shelf and hold F to interact with it, and then left click on it, either buy or inspect. Inspecting will kind of look at the item in a bit more detail. Using the terminals, you can buy and sell cargo directly to a ship. FPS or ship equipment can be bought and equipped via the Vehicle Loadout Manager, the ship icon, and the Equipment Manager, the character icon on the Moby-Glass. Go ahead and mess around with them. Equip different weapons and items that you buy onto your ship. If you've got a Mustang or an Aurora, it is worth upgrading to 4 weapons. So you start off with 2, you can chuck on another 2 size 1 weapons onto those ships. Shops and facilities have different inventories, and they are all part of a dynamic economy, which is heavily in flux and being tested at the moment. So expect things to change quite rapidly. But you can make money by cargo hauling and that sort of jazz as well. So what else can you do? Well, cargo running, as I mentioned. Various missions, mining in the Prospector. You can explore. There's quite a lot of outposts and stations out there. There's quite a huge range of missions, in fact, and service beacons are player-centric missions where they ask you to pick them up and deliver them somewhere, or they can ask you for combat assistance if they're running missions or if they get attacked. You can join a group from the main menu or in-game as well. F11 in-game will bring up your friends manager, and pressing right control will toggle the cursor interaction mode so you can actually click on it and type stuff on it. Or you can approach a player and hold F on them and invite them to party or your contacts list straight from there. Party members have the ability to open doors on your ship freely, and they can see each other marked on the HUD, so you don't lose each other very easily. If you die, you will respawn at the last major location you visited, Grimhex, Port Olisar, or Levski. If you want to log out and save your location elsewhere, you can if your ship has a bed. Go to it and interact with it, and then while you're laying down, hold F again and select log out. When you log back in, you should be where you're left your ship and in your bed. If you're detected doing anything criminal, like attacking a lawful green player or NPC unprovoked, you will get a criminal rating. As
This is all fascinating.
Correct landing procedure will get you a criminal rating. You will see a little comm satellite symbol if you are in danger of being detected, I suppose. If that symbol's not there, then you can't really be done for any criminal activities. Some missions are accessed by being a criminal as well. There is a lot of interactivity that you can do with your ship and the Verse 2. Power allocation is now more implemented into the game. When in a cockpit seat, you can hold F to look around the cockpit and interact with various settings. You can interact with the multifunction displays, little screens as well, allowing you to move the power around to certain systems or even overclock them. You can go into multi-crew stations in other ships as well. You can go into turrets. You can go into remote turrets. You can go onto the screens and just do assistant activities to the pilot. Items and weapons can overheat, becoming disabled briefly, and also damage can cause issues with maneuverability for ships as well. Even now, there is a huge amount going on with the game. If you want to see all the specific changes in 3.2, please check out my 3.2 features and patch notes video. There are lots of different tutorials on the specifics of each mechanic from me or one of the other awesome content creators I know, like Noobafire, Bob Mitch, and more. I will leave links down below for each of them, because I'm sure there's lots of people that will want to learn a lot more after they've messed around in Star Citizen, or are looking for more of an advanced guide on specifics. I'll get some mining guides up and that sort of stuff as well as pro tips for cargo hauling and that sort of jazz too. Please tell me in the comments below if there's anything specific that you want to know about the game, specific guides or tutorials, and if you are signing up to Star Citizen for the first time, then please use the Get Star Citizen link that I've got in the description below. That will net you some in-game currency, which will be useful in the future. To celebrate the release of 3.2, myself and a multitude of other Star Citizen streamers are fundraising for Special Effect with a series of streams over the week until the 7th of July. There will be ship giveaways.
You haven't played in about 11 months. Tried to play today and was lost.
Across the
you're welcome.
too. Go to justgiving.com/fundraising/star-citizen-special effect to find out more and get involved. I'm also giving away a Saber Raven to a random commenter on one of my videos during that time too. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my videos made this week to be in for a chance of winning, including this one. Also, Shadow Stuffs. Be sure to check out Shadow. It's a cloud-based alternative.
Okay, here's the link to this video. Make sure you comment on this video too, and that counts as 2 chances. Now we're gonna go to Star Citizen. What was it? Citizen Gamer. Yeah, Star Citizen Blastcast number 140. Focusing on 3.3. These guys usually ramble, so I might speed it up. Unless you don't want me to, just say something. This one's kind of short. It's only 12 minutes. They're usually like 30 minutes long. If you want me to speed it up, just say so. If not, I'm going to leave it alone.
Greetings everyone and welcome to the Blastcast. I am Jarus, with me as always is the man who loves Windows updates, Lightning Dragon. So let's talk about the most important thing that happened this week. For those of you who don't know, John Pritchett, CIG's main physics programmer, has left CIG. Before he left, he had a very interesting post about the breakdown of how IFCS works. The link will be down below. I recommend giving it a read. We wish him all the best and look forward to what future projects he's going to be taking part in. And his last paper was really kind of a breath of fresh air. It clearly showed where the problems are. And basically it stems from people putting these values into the engine. See, the engine adjusts basically to what's put into it. It's made that way. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out. Basically, this is something we've been saying on this channel for quite some time now. Now, Lightning has got something, he's sent me some videos I'm going to be editing down and we're going to go over it. He basically took some of the values, again, it's our second part of taking Star Citizen values, plugging them in the Kerbal and seeing what we get, showing how the raw values are just way out of proportion And I think, what, you made a freelancer?
Yeah, made a freelancer, and I touched on a Hornet again, but the Hornet stuff is mostly just brief, just to show an example of, something that's smaller and easier to build.
Yeah, and once I get that edited down, that might be coming out next week or later this week. I haven't determined yet. It depends on work schedule and other things like that.
So if you're interested in more KSP-related Star Citizen things, talking about thrust values and stuff like that, do look forward to that.
It'll most likely be a standalone vid, not part of a Blastcast, since we already covered it directly in an earlier broadcast. We wanted to show that the proms are kind of spread all around and do it in a way that shows some different kinds of ships. Alright, so let's get into this week's Around the Verse, all 11 minutes of it. They went through enhanced idle animations from NPCs when you're talking to them or when they're just basically doing whatever, so that they don't look like you're just standing there stationary when you're talking to them. They'll be doing other things as well. They showed us their new adjustable grip animations so that you can grab things at different sizes, and I'm going to go ahead and skip on all the possible jokes I can make with that. Showing off a couple new Xi'an ground weapons. They seem to match the aesthetic of the Xi'an Scout very well.
I mean, they have mavs all over them, and they're the worst performing things in the game?
Oh, no, not at all. They just have this kind of, a Forerunner kind of technology looking thing, which the Xeon seems to be focused on. They showed off some new deformation damage modeling. They show like this ball breaking through a wall, and it's supposed to be a more efficient way of doing it, and I hope some of this technology applies to ships on the outside as well. Showed off some trash landfill modeling, and lastly, they went over some Vanduul weapons, mostly melee, with the staff and the knife, and how these components and weapons are put together off of pieces and parts that they've managed to scrounge from their enemies that they defeated. So the most interesting thing that came out this week actually wasn't in Around the Verse, it was in Reverse the Verse, which had Chris Roberts in it. So let's go over some of the topics that were discussed there, and just kind of nail down some things we found interesting. One of the things that Chris Roberts talked about is how sometimes the devs basically filter out things that have a negative connotation, or they sound negative or argumentative or angry. We'll get into that in just a little bit.
That's an entire episode all on its own.
3.3 is going to be the biggest release of the year, and no matter what, the data calling and container system is the must-have piece of it. Without it, they're not going to be able to expand the Stanton system and have additional planets and things like that. So I totally agree. That's been something that really needs to be nailed down so we can really take Star Citizen where it needs to go as far as size.
That should have come out in 3.0.
Yeah, but they had to convert a lot of old items. It's been a conversion issue. See, when they converted to 64-bit, a lot of the old items were 32, and so they've been basically having to do these conversions, and it's taken a lot of time. Basically, they had years of assets they had to go back and retool. Now, while it's taking a long time to develop this first system by far will take the longest to build compared to what's coming down the road. While they have been developing it, they've been developing tools and other things to make developing these systems much faster, such as biomes and other things. The FPS AI was pushed back because they wanted to be more adaptive to all the different environments that it would be encountering, and they didn't feel it was up to snuff yet. Probably had people walking in the walls and stuff like that, like they kind of do now to some degree.
It's funny, though, a lot of games have that problem.
Oh, yeah. Even Skyrim's subject to it.
Yeah, I was playing Fallout and playing that a lot lately because of the DLCs now. I got them, but I often have a settler staying on a roof. It's like, why are you on the roof? There's no reason for you to be there, but something in their pathing will put them there. And when you load into that cell, basically, it puts them on the highest point in that path or whatever. And so if it's on a roof, they'll be on a roof.
That's pure Bethesda.
Well, it's not just Bethesda games that have that problem.
I know, but their bugs are fun. There was a question asked about the Squadron 42 roadmap, why it's not up yet. And that has partially to do with, as these things change, as they develop, they don't want to kind of put stuff out there that may or may not even be incorporated or may change drastically. They feel that they would get a lot of negative feedback if something was moved or changed or whatnot. More on that negative feedback stuff to come.
Like I said, we can have an entire video about that.
Now, one thing I do actually agree with and like the most was that they want to break down Around the Verse into separate shows. They want to have a show that's more focused on hardcore details of the game development for people who are interested in that. They want to have shows that are focused on a single subject. So, for example, maybe mining or refining or, FPS combat or quote-unquote flight. And lastly, they want to have a show for new backers or people interested in looking at Star Citizen that's a little bit lighter and more along the lines of showing off what they want to do. And they made a statement about how long videos, basically, people don't watch them as much because it's only like the hardcore people who watch longer videos, which means that people watching this show are pretty hardcore.
Well, that's true for every video. If Star Citizen released a 15-minute video, they're more likely to have people watch it at the very end as opposed to a 20-minute video. And every 5 minutes you put onto that, it lowers it even more. It's just a YouTube thing.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's get into calling all devs. Yeah, a question about life support system.
Had one of my guns bended. What do you mean bended? Broke? Handgun? Your pistol?
Well, they have limits how many people it can support, and that's absolutely a yes. You'll start depleting your breathable oxygen as time goes by, and eventually people will suffocate, so keep those spacesuits handy if you overpack a ship.
They talked about non-combat equipment, and basically it's like, we're going to have an Omni tool, cutting, repair, salvage, tractor beam, or whatever. And I thought about that. It's like, so basically like every other space survival game.
Maybe the turret, the guns that on the turret moved. The ones on the turret shooting sideways, or I know if you hit, I think it's Alt. I want to say Alt J that locks your gimbals. Look for the button gimbal lock on the key map. And try locking your gimbals, and that'll make all your guns fire straight.
That's like ever been made. It's taken you guys like 5 years to figure this out.
Yeah, it's a little bit of it's also a little bit of Half-Life 2 with the tractor beam on there, so maybe we can pick up saws and throw them at people. Who knows? Also, was asked, will there be a way to play in the persistent universe without fear of getting your stuff ripped off or shot down by their better players? And the answer to that basically was no. So I don't know. Is that slider thing not gonna be a thing?
Well, people are gonna be pretty upset if they're removing the slider.
Yeah, that would. There's some people who just won't play a game if they don't have the ability to not always. You see, it's not PvP that some people want to avoid. That's not the issue. It's being trolled. It's the attitude that you find in. Well, a perfect example. Just play Grand Theft Auto 5 online.
Ugh.
I mean, that's what it could turn into, and that's typically what happens on an online community when someone can sit, thousands of miles away from you without any consequences whatsoever and just do carte blanche to you. You end up with, Grand Theft Citizen. So that's why people want the option to basically step away from that.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I want us to do a show not technically about GTA or Star Citizen, but talking about Fallout 76 and in what they're trying to do and how Star Citizen can kind of look into that and just kind of a general chatty thing about something different.
Yeah, that's fine. And as far as Fallout 76 goes, don't buy it on PlayStation. They're not going to allow crossplay.
Yeah, don't do that. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
let's
is
get
pretty
into
realistic.
What I want to talk about when it came to the discussion of developers ignoring quote-unquote negative statements and kind of the way I feel about it. So why is there so much negative from the community? Well, it's kind of because there's a lack of interaction these days. Look at John Pritchett's post. It had so much positive feedback and interesting questions. This is a genuine example of how communication is done. People posted detailed information with math and examples of how to make flight work, and none of it is talked about or responded to. Frankly, I don't think the guys who are working on flight mechanics have the knowledge to respond to it. Devs come on videos and they mock backers who dislike their perfect vision of how flight is, neither providing documentation of their objectives or what their vision is. We only know it's getting worse. The game punishes players using flight devices. The more flight devices you have, the more obnoxious it gets. And I find that odd, considering that never seems to happen in actual flight games. Maybe this could be a clue to the problem? CIG would make way more money if the flight was good. Instead, they pull ship stats out of their asses and hope it works, ignoring every source of data presented. Just look at the commercials. They show commercial after commercial with flight that is absolutely nothing like what we have in the game. It's a prime example of false advertising. Flight is pretty much just like the stunt RC helicopters with people in it. 30 plus G stop and starts, insane values, non-unified controls. 5 years in, and your flight gameplay is utter shit, and completely ignored in every way. I dare you to make a commercial that shows how your ships actually fly in the game. I double dare you. But you won't. Because you know how your shit looks. The disconnect is real. And you ignore or insult every person who has provided data in an attempt to help. You do this to the point that they stop trying, and this is your doing. So harden the fuck up, as EVE Online developers like to say. Take account for creating this toxic environment and fix it. Flight is not a minor feature in a game that was pitched about flying ships. Are your feelings hurt? Too bad. Welcome to our world. At least we're trying to fix it. Later this week, we'll be covering more DCS as I do a bit more practice with the F5E and struggle and fail and fly into the ocean and explode. As we get ever closer, yeah, it's a tough little bird. And we continue to show this as we get closer to the 30 play sessions, so I can answer the question, do I want DCS in space? And that should make for a very interesting discussion. All right, folks, so that's about everything for this week's Blastcast. As always, leave your comments and suggestions down below, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
All right. Citizen Gamer, here's the link to this video. If you liked it, go give him a like. A little salty at the end there. This video is about a giveaway. A fellow panda is paying this guy to do this advertisement for him, and the giveaway goes out on the 15th. Alfane, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it.
You guys are gonna flip out when you see what I got for you today.
Make sure you enter this giveaway if you're not already in it. It's over July 15th, I believe. So I'll give you links to the information and stuff after the video.
You that epic goddamn space music right now. There you go. Now swivel that camera around, goddammit. Swivel it around slow. It's a little too fast. Alright, zoom it out. Let them feast their eyes upon that silver metallic worker bee down there that's gonna make them tons and tons of credits here in the verse. Only on the games, baby. Only on the games. The internet's #1 gaming community. She's quite the beauty, isn't she, fans? Just click that link below. You get yourself in the giveaway. It's gonna be a good time. Everybody's gonna want this for the new patch coming out. Let me tell you, look at this. Who's it brought to you by? Well, it's brought to you by the games, but this is sponsored through Jags Corp. If it wasn't for Jags Corp, these goddamn sweet industrial babies, I love them. They're all cute. You can squeeze them into their cheeks. They got dirt all over their faces. It's ridiculous. Go join them. I remember back in the day when the first time I flew one of these things, it was an older version, but damn did I mind. And I mined and I mined and I loved it. I made so much money back in the day with a mining ship. It was a great way to start in the verse. You just get in the ship and you suck like crazy. Well, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. That sounds a little wrong of me. Maybe can we redo that one? No? Okay. All right. Well, let's get inside here. Okay. There's too much sexual innuendo in this commercial already. I'm kind of screwing it up, but God, that was beautiful like that. All right. Let's see what's going on up in here. And oh shit. No. Oh God, Jags. It's not my fault, man. I swear. I didn't touch anything. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, man. I hope you get another one for the giveaway, I swear. God damn it. I swear, Jags, I didn't touch it. I didn't break this thing. Winner announced July 15th. Good luck, citizens. This giveaway brought to you by the amazing Jags Corp. Consider joining them today then don't fuck around. Jax Corp. Serious cash.
And there's the link to the Prospector giveaway. Make sure you guys enter that one. So we got 2 videos from board that you need to like or comment in. This video right here, make sure you comment in. This is the guy that I said that keeps getting better all the time, is Daylight Gamer. Gonna talk about his experience in 3.2, I think. I'm just hoping that he continues, he doesn't go back to his old way, he stays with what he did last week, and it should be a good video. I haven't watched it yet. Sometimes he swears.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, citizens of all ages, it's happened. It has finally happened, and good fucking Lord, sweet baby Jesus, tap dancing Christ, it is glorious. 3.2 is live, large, and in charge, and if you look in the upper right corner, I am experiencing some of the best frames consistently ever. Like comparative to offline mode. I don't know what kind of freaky deaky magic that SIG has been implementing, but I am so glad that they are. Now I know I haven't been posting videos, it's been a little dry in terms of content and videos that I've been putting out, but it didn't really feel like there was a whole lot going on for me to talk about. Yeah, we got some new ships. Yeah, we've got, you know, some new missions. Got some new armors. But I didn't really want to spoil some of that stuff because it's like, you know, that's kind of half the fun, is being able to go and, you know, experience it for yourself. But I am so stoked. This PTU has been incredible, and so far, even though it's only been a few hours, this patch has been nothing short of incredible. And it really does. It feels like a brand new game.
You gotta take your ship to Cryastro, Alphane. Hit F2, and then on the map, look for Cryastro. You gotta go there and request to land. And land your ship there, and they'll repair it for you. That's the repair station, is to Cryastro. So you gotta make it there.
So I figured I would also kind of give you a quick brief look at some of the performance over at Grimhex. As we're all pretty familiar, at Grimhex, the frames in the past haven't been the best. Definitely not the worst compared to like Levski, which admittedly in this video I didn't go to. I didn't go to Levski yet with 3.2 live. But roaming around inside of Grimhex has definitely been, well, improved. And I would go so far as to say improved at a relatively high level. Don't mind my weird walking, jogging thing here. I don't know what I was doing, but I was just doing that. But again, as you see, you know, everything is running so much smoother. The shaders appear to be better. And if you just saw right there, I didn't hitch while entering the elevator. Anybody who's played, well, basically previously, and my character's board right there, anybody who's played previously will remember entering and exiting elevators almost felt like you were risking your life. You kind of like bounce and it would look like you fell through. So right there, I specifically walked slower to see if it would do the little bounce, and it didn't. So of course, like I would think most people, I didn't feel complete and I didn't feel like I could play the game until I words are hard, until I properly tooled up. And I don't mean, acting like a tool, but, getting my armor, getting my weapons, my ammunition. And with the new kiosks, it is absolutely amazing. I highly suggest if you ever have to buy anything, go into the kiosks. Finally having the ability to buy multiples, finally having the ability to buy multiples of things is just a godsend. As you'll see right here, I buy, 4, I think, med pens. It's just phenomenal. Thank God. Huge quality of life improvement right there in and of itself. So, I changed my armor up a little bit, using a little bit of the new armors, some of the old armor. I'm using a new armor set. Kind of trying some new stuff, trying to look a little different, trying to armor up certain places that I think have a higher chance of possibly incurring damage. So that's what I'm doing. So what I wanted to do for the rest of this video is kind of show you some clips and highlights and things that I've been doing in the PTU. As again, I was at like this like weird kind of not writer's block, but like imagination block. I didn't really have anything or think of anything or have anything pressing that I really wanted to talk about, but I've been recording the entire week, and I have a couple
Hey, Josh.
of weird or fun, or no, weird is probably the word. I've got some clips that I'm going to throw at you, and I hope you enjoy them. So this first clip is actually kind of bucking the trend, which we're going to be doing momentarily, but this is actually one of the missions from 3.2 Live. And I just wanted to show it because I noticed some differences. Like right here, the emergency release or the escape pod door is popped open, as you can see on this Freelancer. That's new. Didn't know that. And I just wanted to show you, again, some of the performance that I'm getting. This is a pickup black box mission. And it's running so smooth, and I just wanted to show you that in conjunction with it. So let's move on to the next clip. So this, I actually just flew off of Port Olisar when I saw this caterpillar starting to engage the reclaimer, and I'm like, oh wow, this looks cool. Let's follow this caterpillar, because at the time, my pirate caterpillar wasn't showing up in the ASOP, the terminals. So I was like, oh, is that really a player? I mean, obviously it was because of the name, and that's why I was following him. So I was like, ooh, cool, hey, we're Drake brothers, yeah, and then I'm like, oh, what's this guy shooting at now? And then I see his turret looks to be firing in my direction, so I'm just kind of strafing around and, trying to, I don't know, just see what was going on, and then they decided to open fire on me. Well, they had decided to open fire previously, as you saw, and this is when I could tell that they were firing at me. I'm trying to do some evasive maneuvers, and that's when I'm like, oh, all right, you want to play? All right, boys, let's play. Now, keep in mind, there's lowly old me in my Drake Cutlass, and then there's the Caterpillar pilot and the 2 turret gunners. All both of the turrets were filled with people in there. So it's 3 against 1. And basically, this guy must have thought, oh, we're in a Caterpillar, we got the turrets, we'll kick this guy's ass. Well, they were mistaken. In fact, they ran like little bitch boys, which you are going to see very shortly, because I was not letting up on them. I was like, you want to attack me, dude? You want to fucking attack me? Alright, brother, let's play. Fuck you and the click you claim. And your buddies too. I was just nailing this guy. I wanted to kill him. But
said sometimes he swears.
I kept not being able to concentrate fire due to where I was, because I was trying to stay in a blind spot, so they couldn't really get to me. and it was working relatively well. But again, due to trying to be tactical in that sense, my shots were not landing where I wanted them. I found out that if you shoot at a particular spot on the Caterpillar near the rear, around where the engines are, you have a better chance of it penetrating the shield and hitting the ship and causing damage. So that's what I was trying to do. And then as you see, the little bitch boys ran into Olisar's armistice zone. They decided they didn't want to play. And that was me trying to ram them, but for some reason it didn't work. I was a little peeved that didn't work, because I was like, come on, I want to hurt these guys. So, I did it again. I missed the second time, but then I tried to just ascend straight into them. Again, I missed because I wasn't really looking. So then I wanted to, ram them a third time, and this is when I got worried. I was like, shit, I hope I don't get stuck. But then I thought, well, if I get stuck, I might be able to drag them around, or just make them, I might be able to drag them out of the armistice and nail them like that. But alas, I couldn't, as you see there. So again, I'm trying to impede them from being able to land, but as you see, he made kind of a emergency landing there. And then I was like, all right, well, let's continue my tactic. Let's try to. And then I had a change of mind. I'm like, okay, you want to park? All right, boy. Well, I'll park. Let's do this. Yeah, I was trying to sumo wrestle them and just sit on them and hoping that I'd break or destroy the ship. I was totally willing to go down with it. I really was. I felt personally insulted that these three assholes would try to attack little old me. So then I got really immature, and I just tried to put my engine into the pilot, into the pilot's view. I don't know what I was trying to accomplish here. And then, look at, little asshole left, But for me, I feel like that was a huge win, because I made what should have been a ship that should have really fucked my day up, run scared like a coward. So with this clip, I flew over to Kovalex. I was planning to do the PI mission when I noticed this Constellation Andromeda with the elevator still deployed. So I thought to myself, hey, this might be a perfect opportunity for some fuckery. This is the perfect time for some space shenanigans. So, like any good troll, I tried to make my way in through the elevator, but unfortunately had a little bit of technical difficulties there. But I thought, this would be a perfect time. I was trying to think, where should I hide? And of course I remembered the snub in the back. You never think to look there, especially given the color scheme of my armor. I thought, hey, you know what? I'll blend in quite nicely. So I'm going to speed the footage up a little bit more because I was kind of sitting there waiting. I wasn't sure how long he was waiting there for, so I started, doing what any bored person does and started pressing the buttons and looking all around, and decided to throw on the frame rate counter because I was like, hey, well, that's pretty good. And then I see him. He's coming in. He's made entry into his own ship. I was trying to see if I could keep an eye on him, trying to get a view so I could, keep an eye on him. And, I don't know. I had some fun with it. As you saw, he floated back in with a box. And I thought maybe he was just grabbing cargo, like just to try to go make money. But then I remembered when you finish the PI mission, other pickup missions kind of trickle in from the people at Kovalex. So I was like, what can I do to freak this guy out? I wanted to drop the cargo on the table. So when he came in, the table would be up with the cargo on it. But again, ran into more technical difficulties. And it was at this time that it dawned on me what I did. And I was like, oh, that was a mission item probably. I'll just jump down into the bed. He actually does run by me at some point. And then in a few minutes, once I heard him run by me, I waited for a sec because I didn't want him to kill me in the bed. So I started to get up, but he killed me anyway. So this next clip is me in an Aegis Eclipse attempting to kill a pirate caterpillar, an NPC pirate caterpillar, so a real pirate caterpillar. I did so because I knew it was getting close to the end of the PTU, and I knew the Eclipse was on sale. I have a CCU that I could use. I think it was an Andromeda to an Eclipse or something like that. So I was basically, I realized I didn't do a lot with the Eclipse during the PTU. I flew it for like 10 minutes, really, throughout the whole thing, and I did one slight combat test with it, but basically failed miserably, so I just kind of was using all the other ships that I was actually looking forward to. Well, that's kind of mean. I was looking forward to the Eclipse, but not as much as like the 600i. So basically, I wanted to see what the time to kill, or TTK, would be for an Eclipse on a Caterpillar. Now, originally, I was just wanting to use the torpedoes on the Caterpillars to kill them. Oddly, when I launched a torpedo, in fact, you might have seen it a little bit earlier, it made contact, but the Caterpillar's still alive. I'm hoping that's a bug. Now, as I was talking a little bit earlier, this was that test where I figured out approximately where to shoot to really lay into the engines of the Caterpillar. So if you pay attention to the past couple of moments or so up until about now, you'll see I'm hitting the rear engines, that little offshoots, and like right in the center of the two larger engines. I was able to turn those orange, and you can actually see them taking damage, more damage, as opposed to going at the sides. Although hitting it from the sides, you're going to have more consistent hits, you'll be able to chew the shields down a little bit better. But as you can see, after what felt like an hour, I was able to take down one pirate cat. And for the sake of closure, I decided to also show me killing the second cat. This was me over at Grimhex, just looking at some of the new armors. The one on the right, in particular, caught my attention. I don't know what the fuck armor that is, but it's kind of neat. But not really. I don't know. I'm maybe a little bit weird, and I like the kind of Ronin look of the new heavy armor. Well, I mean, not Ronin, like samurai look. And speaking of which, I equipped the lower heavy armor of the new Outlaw heavy armor set, and I got this weird dress-looking thing. So that little...
What the hell?
I don't even know what you would call that.
What the heck is that?
Protector drop-down thingy. When viewing it in the PMA, it looks fanned out like it's a dress. But as you can see here, wearing it, in the game, it worked normally. I just had to throw this in because this wouldn't be a legit Star Citizen video if it didn't feature, some more ridiculous bugs. Look, I'm a pretty princess. Oh yeah. So to wrap the video up, I just wanted to show a little bit of footage of me flying the 600i around Daymar, right around sunset, because this game, man, these fucking visuals, these graphics, I mean, fuck me running with a spoon. They're just gorgeous. Honestly, one of the most, if not the most, beautiful games out there consistently. Like some of the regular in-engine gameplay things that you would see in other games would only be, able to be done in a cutscene with all sorts of post-processing and what have you. And the fact that this does this at runtime with all of just everything that they've got going on, yeah, there's bugs, yeah, there's issues, some of them more major than others, and some basically, not that bad. I gotta give credit where credit is due, and I mean, this is just abso-fucking-lutely gorgeous. So with that, I'm going to leave the video here. Thank you very much for watching. You know what to do. If you like this video, please leave a like down below, as that lets me know that you're into this, you're digging it. This is consensual. If you have any suggestions for videos or questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below in the comments section. And 3.2 is live. Get out there. Let's Let me legitimately see you in the verse. And if you didn't know, my tag in Star Citizen is It's Bildo. So if you happen to see me in there and you see me ranting or raving or making jokes or something like that, say hi, say what's up. A couple of people already do that, and I love it. I love having that engagement as well. Let's crew up. Let's get into some fucking shenanigans and some fuckery. I'm down. Are you? Cool. As always, Discord link down below. I tend to communicate a little bit better-ish nowadays. So if you want to have a direct line to my stupidity, there's your chance. Okay. I've babbled long enough, and I'm sure you've got more important shit to do. So thank you very much for watching. All you beautiful bastards out there, you have yourselves a wonderful day, morning, evening, whenever, wherever you just so happen to be. This has been Will, Day Late Gamer. Love, peace, chicken grease. Yeah.
All right, that was another video from Will, and here's a link to his video if you want to go like it. And see, I got one more Star Citizen video. Tactical Advance, and it's the Vanduul blade. He did a ship review on it. I got a blade. Wow, it looks nice. I really like it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tactical Advance here, and welcome to a ship review. Now today we're taking a look around the Asperia Blade. Now the Blade is, let's just say, the first lead designing Vanduul ship. I know we do have the Scythe and the Glaive, but this one's supposed to be closest to what the Vanduul ships will look like. So that clearly means to me at some point the Scythe and the Glaive will also have a revision later on. So let's take a look around and see what you get one of these. Now, I actually own one of these as well. I've got one because I always wanted to have one of the alien ships. I missed out on the Scythe, unfortunately, quite a while ago, and the Blade seemed like a good option. Am I happy with it? Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Anyway, first of all, yep, it's called the Blade, and it's got blades. On the wingtips, both sides. You can actually see them around here a little bit better. Got a slight red colouring on the other side. The wings look really, really nice. It's also got these little spikes as well, look, will stick out the back up here, look, these things. Originally I thought they might fold in when you put the landing gear out, but they don't. And they've gone with a lot of this sort of meshing look around the place. And they've used a lot of sort of curvy, roundy lines, look, you can see here, this weird thing here. Hollow tube. When you change the landing mode, there's quite a big animation set on this one as well, where the wings fold out. And this sort of ribcage landing gear folds up as well. But we'll take a look at that in a sec. Just jumped in it, but I left the seat down so we can have a look at here as well before we jump in. You can see there's this repeating sort of red light there to give you the consensus that it's, you know, it's alien, it's alive. There's something else to the technology here than standard UEE technology. Although Asperia have converted the ship, there are residents of alien technology left in the ship, clearly. Here's your seat as well. Now, Asperia have adapted this, obviously, from a Vandal ship into a Asperia. Converted it basically for human use, so it's the UI, the seat and the handles and bits and bobs like that. We'll take a look at that when we jump inside. These are the big pivot points as well for the wings when it goes into the landing mode. And the guns look good. Look at this, look. Check these out. What looks a bit odd to me, I mean, yeah, I know you're thinking the same thing. I'm guessing that when you get in, they straighten out, because one's pointing to the left, one's pointing to the right. That don't seem right to me. We'll have a look when we get inside. But the weapons, I mean, they've gone all out on the weapon design here. They 100% do look like alien technology. That looks like one of the staffs from Stargate.
Yeah, it does.
So keep going a look around. We've got these weird things sticking out. Metal bars sticking out in the end here. Now, because it folds down, you're going to be able to fit this in a larger ship as well. It folds down quite small. Smaller than some of the other ships that fold up as well. If you wait here a second as well, you see a bit of glowing in the engine as well. There we go, look. On a dark planet or something like that, this thing looks really cool. It does look menacing as well, I must admit. 3 landing legs in total, 2 fronts under the wings, which fold out, and then this one here as well. You can see that it's been designed for also rough terrain as well. Massively animated landing gear here. I mean, it's just not this leg. I mean, this whole ridge case folds up. And the individual teeth move. We'll show you that when we take off in a second. Let's have a look from the rear then. Now, you've obviously guessed that there is a red theme here. Lots of red. And when you actually fire up the engines and use the ship as well, these glow bright red. Making the assumption that there was some slightly different propulsion technology with a Vandal. We'll have a look around from the front as well so you can have a look. Does look very menacing. I know the bottom ladder thing's down, but let's jump inside.
Looks bigger than the Gladius.
Quite a weird seating position. Now, you can see all that, you know, all that flickering you're seeing there. Part of me thinks it's alright. Okay, it only does it then. It does it every now and again when you get hit, and does it now and then. What that's supposed to be is the alien technology coming through and interfering with the Asperia conversion. Sounds cool, doesn't it? But when you've been flying it for a while, it's actually quite annoying. Particularly if you own this ship. You might get in it and think it looks pretty cool for a short period of time, but after a while it does get a little bit annoying. There's already some quite big issues inside of this cockpit. Now, you saw when I got in, I'm actually lying down. I don't know if I can really see if I move around. I've got to be careful because I'm in flight mode. I don't know if you can actually see the way I'm lying there. Can you see that? See if I can zoom in a little bit more. Here we go, as far as I can go. You get the idea, yeah? I'm sort of lying on my front, looking up like this. The issue I've got with the cockpit is head is too high, way too high. I mean, if you look at this right now, okay, so let's say I'm saying flying forward. I get it, right? He can't really lift his head up any higher. Look, if you look in the window there, I get it. Makes sense. But the issue you've got is when you're sitting inside, look at the centre pip. It's so close to the top of the screen. If I try and move my aiming reticle up, I'm shooting the screen. This is supposed to be a fighter, right? It's supposed to be attacking ships. If you're going to lead a target with the lead pip, yeah, good luck doing it up that way. The only way you can really do it is down. If I'm aiming here, my lead pip could be behind here. Yeah, it needs quite a bit of work, I think. If the centre pip was down here, that would be a significant improvement. Because if you move this down, and this is the fix UI, so this section here, yeah, this section here, and this section here, then all of a sudden, when you're on the centre pip, you don't have clashing UIs. Because if you look now at the moment, look at my visor UI with the ship there and the target, it's overlapping the fix UI. Couple that with the Asperia stroke Vandal interference, and you can't really see much, really. So I'm keeping the ship on the basis that I believe that they're going to fix this, because it just does not seem right. When I look down now, you'll see what I mean. There is some issues down here, look, at the moment. Look, there's a weird thing going on here, right? So that looks correct to me. That looks like maybe it should be there because it's in the centre. Either that or Asperia needs sacking, because they've done a really bad job of converting this Vandal ship. It just, it does look a bit of a mess. I'm going to be honest. Honest reviews here, guys. I'm not going to tell you something that's not the case. I'm just giving you honest feedback. There are some bugs here. We'll have to wait and see if it makes a big difference when it's down here. The other thing I thought about, would it make a difference if they change the colour, or I know they're going to allow us to do this at some point, is allow us to change the colour of the UI. Would that help, do you reckon? Having a, I don't know, green UI on top of a red UI? They're still going to float on top of each other to some extent. I mean, it's even harder looking down here, because my eyesight's fine. I mean, I'm not colourblind or anything, but the red on the red is not really helping things out, is it? So,
the red on the red is not good.
I genuinely feel that that's why most people, you don't see people flying around in blades and glaives and all the time, using them all the time, because the UIs are just not that great. The ships are pretty good. A lot of them do have fixed mounts as well. I would have preferred like a gimbal mount. Seems to have that option. Let's have a look from the top of these firing these guns. Let's have a look. They will look a bit weird now because obviously I'm outside looking in, so the guns will move to a funny angle. But when you get in, they are actually straight. I know it looks a bit weird now. It's because I'm inside. Done a really good job with them flashes in there, haven't they? Now onto some of the cool stuff. Now from this range, I think the ship looks absolutely fantastic. It just looks amazing. But I definitely feel when you get close, they've reduced the polys down. This is probably one of the lowest. When I get close to the ship, it looks like the polys are way lower than any other ships. Once again, maybe this is a bug, but let's put the landing down. Pretty cool, eh? In fact, we can probably move to a slightly better position. And maybe move over here a bit. Do that one more time. I'll show you underneath as well, because the underneath shots, even that cage at the back, looks really cool. Now you think the wings are just moving, but it's not just the wings. It's actually the landing gear underneath, but there's this cage system underneath as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in a little bit here as well, so you can see the animation. Maybe we should move around this way so you can see all the little bits moving. The light's quite good here as well. So let's give this a go. We'll do it a couple of times, different angles. Pretty cool, isn't it? Overall, the whole entire ship is absolutely fantastic. Brilliant alien ship. Interior and UI. I like the design of it. I think it all looks fine. It's just the layout of the UI just needs quite a bit of work. Or maybe it is one big bug, right? That it's just going to fix everything inside. But currently, it's a little bit of a shocker inside. So much so that it's going to be a bit hard to even use. We'll back it down one more time.
Pretty neat.
Jump back inside. Everything else about the ship is actually really good news. I mean, the acceleration is pretty decent. Maneuverability is pretty good in the ship. Turns really quick. Rolls really quick. It actually stops really, really fast as well. Does everything that you expect it to do, minus be able to see out the screen properly. Okay, I'll stop going on about it, but it's one of my ships as well, so I'm hoping they really fix this and make it. I'm not really sure what they're going to do to fix this, because the Asperia or UEE or Star Citizen UI has never been designed for a Vandal ship, and you can see that they've done their best down the bottom here. See what I mean? By putting the ring and bending it down a little bit. But this top bit, it's just, I don't know. It needs work, doesn't it? I'm going to hold out on it and hopefully they fix it. And I believe if they do, more people will buy it as well. Because if you see more people using it, you're more likely you want to give it a go. But as soon as you're jumping in and everything starts flickering and things are overlaying, it's not great. The previous Vandal ships are very similar as well. I've also got the Glaive as well. And that's very similar as well. So overall, on the exterior, absolutely love it. Awesome ship. Looks so cool. The maneuverability is fantastic. There's lots of positives about this, but unfortunately, the interior needs a little bit more work. I think the character needs maybe repositioning and a little bit of adjustment of the UI to make this the ship that it deserves to be. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye now.
All right, that was Ethical Advance. Here's the link to his video. Well, normally we do gameplay and stuff, but I just wanted to watch a couple more videos. Some people are looked up some of the sales on Steam right now. If nobody knows, there's like 20 something hours left for the Steam sale. So we'll watch a couple videos on games that are for sale. And then after that, I'm going to bed because tomorrow me and my wife are going to go to the cottage and hang out. On vacation.
Hello everybody and welcome to my Hidden Gems video for the Steam Summer Sale of 20...
Yeah, the Steam Summer Sale, it ends July 5th. These guys are going to go through some of the good sales.
I've already done a general recommendation video that I'll put a link to in the description and in the comments, of which I kind of go into, you know, just a general recommendation of different games that I think you should be picking up. But this is my Hidden Gems video. This video goes over games that you probably may have never heard of, or maybe you have and you just never ended up picking them up. But they're all excellent games. In fact, let's define what I mean by hidden gems before the video gets started, so that way there's no arguing about it in the comments below. I believe a hidden gem is a game that is either not well known, as in like nobody really heard about it, or a game that is even massively overlooked, as in you probably heard about it but you skipped it, which means that you never ended up playing it. And that means there's these games out there that I think are massively underplayed and underrated, even though they are excellent games. Alternatively, it could also just be a game that you have forgotten about. You know, a game that came out a while ago and is also excellent and stands the test of time, but is something that you forgot about because, you know, new games keep coming out every freaking single week, and it's easy to forget about games that you wanted to play and then just, you know, never got the chance to. So what may be a hidden gem to me may not be a hidden gem to you or other people, and just know that just because you know about a game or you think that a game is like massively popular doesn't mean that the game is actually that way or that anybody else knows about the game. As long as we have that understanding, we can get started with what I think are the hidden gems in the 2018 summer sale. First up, you have the Turing Test, which is a phenomenal puzzle game. It is kind of like Portal in a sense. You know, if you liked the Portal games, then you probably will like this. The voice acting is excellent across the board, but it has to do with the Turing Test, which is kind of the test to determine whether or not an AI is like lifelike or has, you know, intelligence and stuff like that. So that's like very layman's terms what it is, and it is just so good. The end of the game is fantastic, and it may surprise you in some ways, but in other ways it's just a really good puzzler that looks pretty. I would highly suggest it. But if you're looking for something a little more lighthearted and possibly multiplayer, I would suggest Battle Block Theater. This is a really funny puzzle platforming game that I would suggest playing with a friend. It does have 4-player multiplayer, but that's only in like an arena mode. The co-op mode is 2-player, so if you want to do that, I would suggest playing with somebody. It makes the game a lot better and a lot more funny, and the game is already really funny, so I would suggest trying to bring someone along. It's cheap enough that you could buy it for a friend if they're interested in it at the very least, but it is just it's a good game across the board. It is a game that came out, you know, like on Xbox Live and stuff like that. So people who have owned a console probably have heard about this game, but once it came to PC, I feel like not enough people picked it up. And it is just such a quality game that it deserves to be played through. And while it's older, you know, it came out like 4 years ago, it still is a game that I think holds up compared to, you know, new platformers and stuff coming out nowadays. And speaking of platformers, if you haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest, go pick up the Definitive Edition. It is really, really good. It's got an excellent art style, a great soundtrack, and it's just a good platformer. It's a fun game to like sit down and play, and you can't say that about all games, but this game plays really, really well. The thing is, it also has a sequel coming out, which is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, so this is kind of the perfect time to jump into this game. I don't think that this is a massively overlooked game, but it is a gem of a game that if you haven't played, it's almost feeling more and more as time goes on like it's a required game. It's kind of like Mario. You know, everybody's played Mario. I think Ori is not to that extent, but it is on that same page. You know, you got to play Ori. It's a game that is going to define a lot of platformers in the future because of what it's done, and it's phenomenal because of it. You got to play it. But
Anybody get this game? Ori?
Difficult platforming games, and Hollow Knight is the
I
perfect.
bought it. I haven't played it yet.
You know, you've
I got it from my arcade cabinet.
those kind of games, but this is a little different. This is more of a Metroidvania style game, as in you're working your way through, you're kind of getting different stuff, and then you're working your way back to different places that you couldn't go before. It's got like a massive world that you're kind of going through and exploring, and it's hard to describe without actually kind of seeing the gameplay, but it is a difficult game. It's not necessarily a game that is going to be nice and relaxing like Ori, but it is really good across the board. It is just a solid game that plays really well and will have you sinking a lot of time into it. I would suggest it. It is different than Ori, so again, remember that this is a difficult game compared to the kind of relaxing game that Ori is, and it will take you some time to get through some levels. You may get frustrated, is what I'm trying to say. But maybe platformers aren't your thing. In that case, Heroes of Hammerwatch is just an excellent game. The original Hammerwatch games, which are similar, are on sale for a lot cheaper. I do really like those games. I think they are really, really good. It's got like a roguelite thing going on with it, where if you die, you can have to start over. But it is multiplayer, so you can play, 4-player multiplayer on Hammerwatch, and then, it might be 3-player co-op on Hammerwatch, and then Heroes of.
I was thinking about buying this Hammer Watch too for my arcade cabinet.
In my opinion, it's,
Anybody ever play this one?
Idea, but it is generally the same game. So if you don't like Hammerwatch, you probably won't like Heroes of Hammerwatch. But this is one of those games that I feel is really, really good and nobody is talking about. Pick it up. It's fantastic. If you don't want to take a chance on, a $10 game, go pick up the original Hammerwatch. And if you like that, then you can pick this one up. And if you're into the roguelike style of gameplay, and maybe you do want a platformer kind of like Hollow Knight, then Dead Cells is just the perfect fit for that. It is early access, I have to warn you on that. They're still developing the game, but that doesn't mean that the game doesn't have a lot of content. They're updating it constantly. The amount of content in there is actually staggering now. When it first launched, you're like, okay, you can finish this game in several hours, but now it is pretty meaty. There's a lot going on with it, and it is worth the price tag, even though it is in early access. Plus,
That game looks like Prince of Persia.
early access games, but in this case, because they are updating it so frequently, you kind of always have something to come back to once you've beaten the game, and that is a really nice feeling to have for a game that is in early access, because a lot of early access games get stuck there. This one is not. It is pushing forward, and it is doing so beautifully. It's a great game, plays really well, is kind of difficult, but it should be something that people who like Hollow Knight and games like that will really, really enjoy. Moving on, though, many of you know that I am a huge Diablo player. In fact, I'm currently the Diablo fans community manager, and I love action RPGs like that. The top-down view is really fun. I've grown up playing Diablo for most of my life, and those kind of games are something that really interests me. And with that, I want to suggest Van Helsing. The Van Helsing games are, I think, massively underrated. They are unique and really cool with a lot of their mechanics.
Thinking about getting these. They're like they're on sale for 99 cents today.
Its own issues, but all three of the
I saw
Van Helsing games
this game for 99 cents.
I think that, again, they're massively overlooked, but if you like Diablo-style games, like the action RPG, top-down, get loot and move on with your life games, Van Helsing does a great job of it. Alternatively, at the same time, if you ever missed it, Torchlight 2 is also on a massive discount, and Torchlight 2 is just a fantastic game. There are tons of mods on the Steam Workshop for it. You can pretty much modify your game however you like, but the vanilla game, the base game, is just good across the board. You could go back and play the first Torchlight. It is a little dated now. It is still good, but it is dated, whereas I think Torchlight 2 is just a massively improved version of Torchlight. And again, if you're into the Diablo-style games, this kind of makes it feel a lot more like Diablo 2 than it does, say Diablo 3. It kind of goes back to the roots of the franchise more so than pushing it forward in any general direction. There are some unique differences, though, in Torchlight compared to some of these other games. Like you have this pet, for example, that can go back to town and sell things for you, and that's really nice. I like having a little pet follow me around. It is multiplayer. You can pick up some friends and play it. It is awesome. It is really good, and I would suggest it. Next up, I would suggest Bayonetta. This is a game that probably a lot of people missed out on. It didn't necessarily release on the best of consoles when it did come out. Not a lot of people got a chance
Thinking about getting this game too.
play it. And then when it finally released on PC, people looked at it and go, this is an older title. I probably should skip over this unless you kind of really heard about it. I don't necessarily think this is an unheard of game. I think people know what Bayonetta is, but if you haven't played it, you really, really, really should. Platinum Games is just a developer that does an excellent job of making action RPGs, and this game takes an action RPG and just puts it at 11. The main protagonist, she is over the top and does so in a commanding way, and the rest of the game is ridiculous, but that is the fun of it. It is a ridiculous game that is going to make you yell out loud, what is even going on? But you're going to have a fun time doing it the entire game. It is phenomenal. It plays really, really, really well. And from start to finish, you should enjoy your experience. For this price, I would heavily suggest this game, especially on PC, because it is now running at 60 FPS and in HD, which is better than what it was on, the Wii and the Wii U. Let's ignore those versions of those games, because this is definitely the definitive version of it. But maybe you're looking for something with a bit more graphical fidelity. In that case, I cannot suggest Alien Isolation enough. This game is crazy pretty. And for the fact that it came out 4 years ago, it still looks like one of the most gorgeous games. And I can say for a fact, because I've played through from start to finish, it is still one of the most gorgeous games I have ever played. I think some people may skip this because it is a quote-unquote a scary game, but at the same time, I think it needs to be played. It is
I don't
so
like scary games.
in the genre that I feel like I don't understand why more people aren't trying to replicate what it did, and I don't understand why there hasn't been an announcement for a sequel yet, because this game was just so good. And if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, this is like the definitive version of what Alien is. You go and you watch a movie like Alien Covenant, which was awful, and then you compare it to a game like this, and you're like, why didn't they just like take this game and make it into a movie? Because that would have been way better. The thing with this is, while it is a bit older, and if you skipped over it, you need to understand kind of what is happening in the game, which is that the alien is there, but the alien isn't just some like AI thing that is, just randomly and programmed to stalk in like a very specific way. No, this is like a thing that learns, and it learns how you hide and how you play, and it will get better at stalking you. And if that sounds terrifying, it kind of is, because it gets into a point where you don't feel like you're playing against like a level that somebody made. You feel like you're playing against an entity, and this entity is hunting you down and is doing so in a phenomenal way. So it does put on a lot of pressure, and it does make the experience a little bit more terrifying than you would otherwise have in one of these kind of games. However, there is a caveat to that. Sometimes it's a little obtrusive and Alien sticks around far too long, and you find yourself just sitting in a locker just waiting for it to disappear because you're like, this thing just won't go away. It's kind of annoying sometimes, but at the same time, the good far outweighs the bad. If you want to watch, someone play through this game, we have a full playthrough. I'll put a link to it in the description and in the comments. It is a bit older. Again, it's 4 years ago, but this game was just so good. I loved the heck out of this game. You need to play it. Next up, I would suggest the Don't Starve games. That includes Don't Starve Together, by the way. So Don't Starve is a single-player experience. It's a survival game. It's got kind of a Tim Burton art style to it. It's got amazing art direction and sound direction, music and everything. It's perfect. It's a great game. And if you haven't played Don't Starve, you really, really should if you're even remotely interested in survival games.
I don't think I'd like that game.
Together, which is multiplayer and is phenomenal. It is also discounted, and they just came out with a new content update for it, which is fantastic. I would suggest playing this game. I think a lot of people may have skipped over it because, for one reason or another, they just maybe weren't into survival games or not. But this is just a good game overall, and it will allow you to put a lot of time into it. So you're getting a good bang for your buck with the Don't Starve games. The pack is massively discounted, and I would suggest picking that up if you're even remotely into Don't Starve. If you are into that survival genre, though, The Long Dark is fantastic, and I think a lot of people may have slept on this game because it came out in a time where there were a lot of survival games coming out. It has a single player mode. It is fully launched, so it was in early access, but now it is completely out. Like I said, it has the single player mode, and as far as for the survival mode, it is getting new content in it, and it's just good. It is really, really good, and for the most part, I think this is one of the most complete survival experiences out there. So if you're into those kind of games, this game is a must play, and it's stupid cheap right now. And I think that's the big kicker is, you may be like, maybe I'm not into the survival games as much as I should be. What's a good starting point? Well, this is a great starting point because of the price and because it is a complete game. Would suggest The Long Dark. It is fantastic. And now for something completely different. Dungeon Defenders 2 is a free-to-play game. You can just go and download it and play it. You don't need to have played the first game. Dungeon Defenders 2 is really good. And any of the packs that they have that you can pick up, such as like the Jumpstart pack, which is a pretty good jumpstart, is also discounted. So you can download it, play it. If you like it, then you can pick up the discounted packs. What is Dungeon Defenders? It is a RPG tower defense game where you're playing as a specific character that can build defenses, but it's a tower defense, so like enemies are coming down specific like pathways, and you're trying to stop them from getting to your crystal.
I don't like tower defense.
Dungeon Defenders is on sale as well on a massive discount. It has so much content there with the Dungeon Defenders collection that I would suggest picking that up, even if you're not sure if you'll like the game, because all of the DLC for it is really good. There's, there's like some Halloween like packs that just add cosmetics, but then there is one that like adds a full Halloween level that is very good. The Dungeon Defenders is best played with friends, so if you have anybody who has this game or is interested in it, pick it up. But overall, I would suggest playing Dungeon Defenders 2, even though I think Dungeon Defenders, the original game, is the most complete package, just because Dungeon Defenders 2 is more modern, and it is easy to get people to play with because it is free to play. And here's a game you may have skipped over and probably did because you knew nothing about it, or it just seemed weird. Headlander is really weird and really freaking
Might like that one.
It's got an awesome aesthetic, and it's set in like this retro 70s area. It's on a space station. The best way you could describe it is you're this little head that floats around and you land on things and you kind of take over their bodies. It was published by Adult Swim and it was developed by Double Fine. That should tell you a whole heck of a lot about what this game is. It's funny and it's weird, but it's really good. I other than that, I can't describe this game to you. You just got to go play it. It's fun. Next up, maybe you already own and have played Terraria a ton of times, like pretty much everybody has. Well, don't forget about Starbound. Starbound is a Terraria-like game in the fact that, it is a 2D thing that you're like, it's hard to describe. It's got like some survival elements to it. But generally, it's got a lot of building and a lot of like killing of bosses and stuff. Starbound takes that to the next level. You can visit different planets, and different planets have different biomes, and there's like millions of planets that you can explore, and it's multiplayer. It's just a really solid game. If you missed Starbound, it's got a great single player. Well, I say single player. It's got a great story mode that you can play with friends. You can obviously play it in single player as well. It is a complete game. They just got a new update to it recently, and that adds a ton of new content to it. It's fun. It's really cool. And it is, while it is like Terraria, it is unique in its own sense. And I would suggest
I never heard of Terraria.
if you can and playing through it. You also have the Legend of Grimrock games. They're both really good. The only way that you can really describe it is it's like an old school dungeon crawler. So, imagine the dungeon is a grouping of tiles and you have a party. Your party moves from one tile to another, and each tile is a turn. So every time you move one tile, the enemies move one tile. I played classic games like this on an Atari ST back in the day, and then Legend of Grimrock came out and kind of updated that model in a really good way. Your party is set in like a grid of 4 people, and you can kind of move them around as needed, and where they're positioned makes a difference and stuff like that. And you got to keep them alive, and there's puzzles and stuff. Legend of Grimrock. I keep adding an S, and I don't know why. It's a great game. And the second one just improves upon it. The first game is like you're in a prison and you're escaping the prison. Like if you can get to the end of the prison, you're free to go. And Legend of Grimrock 2 is, you've escaped the prison. Now you're, out in the open world. So it kind of adds a lot more dynamic areas to it. It's just an improved version of the game. Both games are great. The bundle is worth the price. I would suggest this game if you're kind of into a bit slower of an experience where you're having to tactically think about stuff, but in an RPG sense. It's also a beautiful game for what it is, but it is definitely unique, that is for sure. However, maybe you need a bit more color in your life. Go play Oxygen Not Included. This is an early access game, so I can't fully suggest it because it's not completely out. And Clay, while a great developer and a developer that's constantly adding new content to this game, have not released this game yet, so it is not complete.
I don't think I'd like that game. Don't look like a new game.
It is a
Cartoon.
2D survival type game. It's like a sim management game because you're managing these little dudes. You're trying to keep them alive. It is not necessarily easy, but it is also pretty fun to try to keep these little dudes alive. And you kind of freak out because you have to actually worry about real chemistry and stuff. There's the oxygen levels in the air versus the carbon levels versus methane gases and stuff like that, and how gases actually work in a physical sense, and how some gases are heavier than other gases. And it's cool, it's unique, but just as a the little parentheses, it's an early access game. So if you're not into early access stuff, don't bother with this. But if you don't mind it that much, this is a rather detailed experience. It's very full. It's got a lot of stuff in it, but they're still working on it. I would suggest it. It is a lot of fun, if not a little hectic. And if you're into management games like that, there's always Prison Architect. Lots of people love this game, even if I think it is a little older, so people keep forgetting about the fact that it exists. And if you never picked it up and you passed over it, and now's the perfect time to do it. It's updated plenty of times. There's a lot of mod support for it. It's just really fun.
Don't like that one.
Prisoners and stuff. It's rather relaxing in a weird way for any time that I've ever
Prison management.
The time just kind of flies, and then all of a sudden you realize oh no, I've had a lovely day of just sitting here managing prisoners and my guards, and oh god, there's a breakout, stuff like that.
No, this is me talking.
Fun, and it's cool, and it's very unique.
We're just going over some Steam games before I go to bed because there's a big sale.
I added the Supergiant Collection to my general suggestion list of my previous video, but I really need to emphasize the fact that I think Pyre is massively underrated. And it feels like nobody talked about the game, or the people who were talking about the game were the people who are people like me who talk about games for a living, but it didn't really ever feel like anybody went and picked it up. And I think half of that is because it is a strange game. It is hard to explain, and that is to the detriment of the game. But it is still just a quality game. I mean, it's made from Supergiant, who gave you Bastion and Transistor. Excellent games. It's the same idea here. Pyre is an excellent game. It is just rather unique. And I think far too many people slept on it. So you have this game that has essentially got several different genres married into it. It's a little bit of a story-based text game, like an adventure that you're kind of going through. Almost, if you've seen dating sims, kind of like that, but not quite, because there's a lot more going on to it.
I don't like that one.
Story through a nice threaded story from start to finish that you can affect in really fun and interesting ways, which is awesome. But on top of that, it has this weird new kind of game underneath it, which is like a version of basketball or soccer, anything like that, where you're taking this ball and you're having to get it into the other person's quote unquote goal, which is a pyre. It's a thing of fire, and you're controlling 3 different characters, and the different characters move and behave differently, and you're using these auras that you have to banish the enemies, which are then gone for a certain amount of time, and then you can go and dunk the ball, or you can use your dudes to pass the ball back and forth, but the enemy's doing the exact same thing and is banishing you, and it creates a really unique gameplay that you're never going to see anywhere else, because it's just unique, and it's really hard to describe what it is. But it is a truly touching game with a really good story, excellent soundtrack, excellent art, really fun characters that you'll meet along the way, and by the time you get to the end of the game, you'll realize oh, my actions had an effect on kind of the outcome. And it is that way. It gives you kind of a BioWare story grid at the end, which is this character went and did this, and because you did this, this character went and did this, and it's really cool. Do not sleep on this game. For the price, you need to play it. It is a relaxing game. It is going to take you a while. It is a rather long game, but at the same time, it is a game filled with a lot of story. So if you're ready to immerse yourself in something unique, you need to pick up Pyre. But those are all of my hidden gem suggestions. I think that there are some on that list that maybe will surprise people and have no idea what the heck it is, and there's plenty on that list that are like, oh yeah, I remember that game and I totally missed it. If you manage to get through that entire list and be like, I have and played every single one of those games and I've beat them and they're all fantastic, or I hate them all, then congratulations, you happen to be a better connoisseur of games than most people. But if you got to that list with at least one game that you're like, oh hey, yeah, I remember that, I'm gonna go pick that up, or oh, I've never heard of that, that seems interesting, let's get that, then mission accomplished on my end. I was trying to make it so that there was at least one game on there that you've never played or never heard of, and that will give you some kind of amazing experience, because all of those games are quality from start to finish, and I love them all. With that being said, put your suggestions.
Here's a link to this video right here.
You know, if you have your own hidden
In case you want to get one of those games, it'll be in the comments.
you can see it, you know, share your games that
I got one more video.
Hello everyone, my name's Nathan, and
More Steam sales. And
it's time for the
now, I want to say that the sale's only like 20 hours long, so if you started now trying to look through all the games, you'd never get done, because that's what I did. I did like cheapest first, and I swear to God, I only got to the $2 games, and then I already spent the $50 I said I was gonna buy, and that took I think like 12 hours to get to the $2 mark. There's so many games, and like a lot of them are like 49 cents, 99 cents, $1.99.
Steam Summer Sale 2018. Today I'm going to be bringing you my recommendations on a variety of games that I think are worth picking up, and hopefully there'll be something for everybody here, from massive AAA titles to smaller indie treasures. As always, the video will be divided up into games under £5, games under £10, and games over £10, and I'll be showing the dollar and euro value for every game too. So let's get straight into it with my picks under £5. So we're going to start off today with Saints Row 4. This installment of what was once a gang-driven franchise takes a pretty major detour from the other games in the series, as Saints Row 4 is set not in the real world, but in an alien simulation of that world, which allows for a lot more crazy additions. Instead of the usual driving around and shooting, Saints Row 4 gives you effectively superpowers, allowing you to sprint faster than any car, jump up buildings, run up walls, and much more. Of course, there's still the usual array of silly side activities, including my personal favourite Fraud, and the inclusion of these super abilities only adds to the fun and stupidity factor of the game. Now, you do lose some of the core mechanics of the previous games in that you no longer need cars to get around, and there's almost never a time when you'll need to call in allies, since you're basically a one-man army, just running up to enemies and suplexing them. But what you lose from the old games is more than made up for, in what is really more of a superhero game than anything else. You're definitely not going to have a deep, meaningful experience with this one, but coming in at just £2.74 or $3.74, there's a lot of stupid fun to be had in Saints Row 4. On now to This Is the Police, a gritty game about making tough choices, corruption, and managing the resources available to you as a police chief. This is a game of two halves in my mind. The story sections, which will have you deciding on how to balance your principles against the realities of what you have to do, and the other half comes in the form of a management game. Sending your officers out to crimes that pop up around the city, and then potentially dealing with whatever they happen to find there. Now, there will be times when you don't have enough good officers to deal with every situation that arises, or even enough officers in general, depending on the decisions you make in the game. And it's up to you to decide how best to allocate your limited resources, and messing up can have pretty nasty consequences, with it even being possible for your officers to die. Fortunately though, the story sections and the management sections fit together quite nicely and mix up the gameplay to stop things getting too repetitive. This game doesn't shy away from serious issues either, so if you're looking for something with dark undertones, at £4.61 or $4.94, This Is the Police might be worth a look. Next, we're on to what I personally think could well be the best deal of the sale, in Just Cause 3. This beautiful sandbox game gives you an open world full of potential for destruction and chaos, and then gives you all the tools you need to make that chaos happen. Playing as a seemingly invincible Rico Rodriguez, you'll get to grapple and wingsuit your way around this gorgeous and quite frankly massive map, liberating settlements, taking on challenges to get equipment upgrades, and just generally messing about. Now, there is a story here based around rebelling against a murderous dictator, but to be honest, most of the fun here will be the fun that you make for yourself. Even so, at just £2.69 or $4.49, there's a lot of game here for the price, and with Just Cause 4 due to launch later this year, it might be time to give this series a try. So from one island paradise to another, we're on now to Tropico 5, a city builder that's somewhat simplified compared to other games in the genre, but still offers a lot, including a strong campaign with a good sense of humour, and a sandbox mode where you can attempt to build up your perfect little banana republic, all while dealing with demands from outside forces, potential overthrow by your own people, and natural disasters such as earthquakes which roll in and destroy a fair portion of what you've built up. Now, what sets Tropico 5 apart from the other games in the series is its implementation of an eras system, which sees you face different challenges as the game moves forward, as you'll start in the colonial era dealing with the crown and working towards declaring your independence, and then you'll move into the World Wars era, balancing relations with the Allies and the Axis powers as to not anger either of them too much, and then onto the Cold War and modern times. This system means that the game doesn't get stale until right at the end, as up until that point you've always got new challenges being thrown at you, and the eras of this game is what makes it my favourite in the series. Tropico 5 is available for £3.74 or $4.99. Next is Deus Ex Human Revolution, a game that sees you take control of the newly augmented Adam Jensen as he investigates conspiracies while learning to live with and unlock his new powers. I can't help but love this game as it allows you to not only shoot your way through enemies to get what you want, but also use stealth to make your job easier and in certain circumstances talk your way out of a tough spot, which can also be helped by your decisions on what augmentations to unlock. Sure, shooting may be easier, but it doesn't always lead to the best outcome. Now, this one is a bit old and looks a little rough around the edges by today's standards, but the less than beautiful graphics and yellow tint on everything are more than made up for by an intriguing storyline that'll have you flying off all around the world, and by the extremely fun gameplay and exploration. On sale for just £1.94 or $2.99, I feel that Deus Ex Human Revolution shouldn't be missed. And sticking with the theme, the next game I want to talk about is Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, I won't spend too long on this one, as a lot of what I'd have to say is more of the same as what I've said about Human Revolution, and I've also talked about this one a lot in the past. But while some have criticised the shorter length of Mankind Divided, and I think everyone agrees that the pre-order bonuses that were pushed in the original marketing of this game were just horrible, the actual game itself is still excellent, and those less than polished graphics from Human Revolution now look pretty damn good in Mankind Divided. Honestly, it baffles me that this one is available already for just £2.99 or $4.49, having only released less than 2 years ago. And if you buy this and Human Revolution, there's a great story and potentially maybe 50 hours plus of great game for under a $5. Orcs Must Die 2 is next, and this is a wave-based horde game that could easily have been pretty bogged down.
I bought this for my arcade cabinet.
An array of traps, weapons and enemies, there's always something to keep you on your toes. The objective is to stop the enemies reaching a certain point in the map, and you have to get creative with how you do that. Sure, you could just spam wall traps, but what happens when flying enemies attack and just go straight past them? Or when quick enemies just dash to the end of the level while those traps are on cooldown? That's why you have to plan out what you're going to do and use a variety of traps and tactics depending on the situation. Now, this is a game that's
WoW
best
Human
enjoyed
Hunter
in co-op, so if you can get a friend to pick it up as well, at £2.99 or $3.74, it might be worth a look. Almost at the end of the under £5 section now then, and I've gone for Polybridge. A game that seems to be a very simple one at first, about building a nice little bridge to get a car from one side of a river to the other, but you'll quickly learn that it's a lot more difficult than it looks. And with the game throwing new complicated tasks at you all the time, including ramps to jump to the other side, and hydraulic bridges that raise and lower to allow ships to pass through, you'll soon be tweaking and modifying run after run to make it finally work. There's also a sandbox mode and Steam Workshop integration to add more content to this one alongside the campaign. Now, as you'll see from the footage here, I'm pretty terrible at this game, but even I had a lot of fun with this one, and the sense of satisfaction you get when finally beating a challenging level makes it all worthwhile, even if the bridge collapses immediately after that. Polybridge is on sale at £2.69 or $3.59. And we're going to finish this section with Reigns Her Majesty, which offers the same simple gameplay as the original Reigns, with every interaction just being a choice between two options, but with new choices to make and now playing as a queen instead of a king. The basic idea is to manage your kingdom in such a way that no one branch of the empire becomes too strong or too weak, and almost every choice you make will have an impact on this. Now, you will die in this game. A lot.
Yeah, I'm on
But you'll
vacation.
always come back as the next
Should
king
have
to
some
take
time
things
soon. I gotta
forward
clean up my
and
room
try
tomorrow.
again. And the deeper underlying story means that it doesn't feel
After
like
tomorrow.
you're just doing the same stuff over and over again. It feels instead like you're actually progressing as you die and then move on to the next. Now, if you haven't played the original Reigns, I'd recommend that just as highly as this. But for anyone who's played the original and wants more, or for anyone who'd just rather play as the Queen than the King, this is a great choice, and it's the cheapest game on this list for only £1.04 or $1.49. Kicking us off in the under £10 category then is a game that I personally have put way too much time into in the form of Slay the Spire. This turn-based deck builder will have you battle your way through random dungeons with one of 3 characters, picking up cards, relics and curses along the way. There are 3 worlds that you have to beat on each run, each getting progressively harder with a tough boss at the end.
I don't like
now,
that
the real goal for me is to
card
synergize
game.
your cards to get maximum effectiveness out of them, but RNG plays a massive part in that, as I've certainly had runs where I knew I needed one specific card to make my deck work, but I never got that card. And you'll have to adapt your original plan if you still want to win. Now, this may not be the biggest price cut of the sale at £7.55 or $10.07, but given that I've got 67 hours of playtime from this one, and quality playtime at that, I think it's more than worth the price. Dark Souls 3 is next, and it does exactly what you'd expect it to. It offers that challenge and depth that fans of the series want, with the massive boss fights and exploration, alongside the deep and sometimes confusing lore of this intriguing world. And while I am personally dreadful at the Dark Souls games as well as Bloodborne, it's obvious why this series is a success and so many people love it. So for the latest release in the Dark Souls series to be available for only £9.99
Thanks, Ox.
or $14.99, if you've ever looked at any game in the series and thought it might be something you could get into, now is a great time to try it out, and as far as I'm concerned there's no reason why you'd have to play the original or Dark Souls 2 first. Next up is Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition. This is an astoundingly beautiful platformer that offers wide open levels to explore rather than funneling you down a narrow
bought
path.
that.
And the upgrade system opens up even more paths and opportunities, as you not only get new abilities at set points in the game, such as the double jump, but also decide on other improvements such as combat abilities. This game simply oozes charm, and despite some difficulty spikes and other little hiccups that can make some parts of the game less enjoyable than it usually is, the overall experience here is excellent. The next Ori game is coming later this year in Ori and the Will of the Wisps, so if you want to see what it's all about before making your decision on that one, Ori and the Blind Forest is on sale for £7.49 or $9.99. On now to Prey, a game with a great sense of atmosphere and tension, due to its unique enemies that can take the form of any normal looking object on the map, meaning that even when you can't see any enemies, you never feel truly safe, because you know one could pop up and surprise you at any moment. Prey will have you exploring and trying to find out what's going on initially, and a strong upgrade tree means that you can modify your character to fight and explore in the way that you want them to. For example, hacking turrets so that you don't have to fight enemies yourself, or leveling the leverage ability, allowing you to pick up heavy objects, revealing new paths. It's all added to
Probably
by
a
an
good game for the
interesting
money.
alt history storyline, which sees JFK surviving the assassination attempt in 1963, and if you pay attention, you'll find some interesting tidbits around the ship. Combat sometimes feels a little bit simplistic, but there are a decent number of ways of taking out enemies, and the glue gun that freezes them in place provides a nice way to allow you to get a couple of pot shots off at stronger opponents. Prey is on sale for £9.99 or $14.99. Time for something a little bit different now, as I'm not recommending a game here, but instead hardware, as we come to the Steam Link. This little bit of kit has been amazing for me, allowing me to stream from my computer in my office to the big TV in the living room and really relax while I'm playing my games. It does this at a solid 1080p 60 FPS, which is perfect for me, and so long as you've got some kind of high-speed wired connection, I use a powerline adapter, you shouldn't have any problems here. The other fantastic thing about the Steam Link is that it works so seamlessly with a bunch of controllers, and I use a PS4 controller with mine, no problem at all. Now, you could buy this in a bundle with a Steam controller, but personally I wouldn't recommend it. To my mind, it's too much of a controller to be a mouse, and too much of a mouse to be a controller, and it skyrockets the price of this to a point where I just don't think it's worth it. Now, I've got this one down in the UK as £2 plus £7.40 post and packaging, so a total of £9.40, but prices may vary where you are, largely depending on the delivery service. The Division is next, and while this wasn't quite the game I was hoping for when I first saw the trailers all those years ago, what it is a solid third-person cover-based shooter with a massive amount of loot to collect, and if you're someone who enjoys the grind, particularly in a PvE environment, then this is a great game for you. It's also got one of the most beautifully detailed worlds in its recreation of New York, and you'll do well to see anything better than this in gaming. And while the game gave me no interest whatsoever in the story, and there were certainly sections which I felt let me down slightly, for £8.39 or $9.99, I think this is a solid game. Though you should remember that it will require Uplay, so if you don't want to go through that, fair enough. Death Road to Canada is the second to last game for this section, and this game is designed
Death
for
Road to
multiple
Canada.
runs,
Alright.
as you and your team try to escape the zombies by fleeing north to the safety of Canada. Death Road to Canada provides randomized locations and events to keep things fresh, and has you making choices based on limited resources. For example, going into a dangerous area to get fuel, or going without a car. What really makes this game for me though, is something that I always love to see in games, which is customizable characters. It's so much fun to name your survivors after your friends, and see what stories develop. And then, obviously, tell that friend in real life how useless they were to you while you were trying to survive. The addition of local multiplayer makes that experience even better as you try to survive with a friend. Death Road to Canada is available for £6.04 or $8.24. And the final game in this section I want to mention is one that always seems to come up, as it's always going for a good price during sales, and that's Cities Skylines. I won't say too much here, as I've talked a lot about this one in the past, but Cities Skylines is one of my favourite city builders, having a good amount of depth without overwhelming players with complicated systems. Building up your city from just a few houses to a place actually worthy of being called a city is so much fun, and while things do slow down a bit later in the game, there's still easily enough here to justify the £5.74 or $7.49 price tag. Into the over £10 category then, and we're going to start with my go-to multiplayer shooter, Rainbow Six Siege. This 5v5 shooter has really created a huge market for itself over the past few years, and it's still growing. Its team-based gameplay along with destruction-packed levels that allow for loads of different tactics certainly keeps me coming back for more, and while newer players are at a bit of a disadvantage, not knowing the maps or which dirty spots they can go and hide in, after a couple of hours of play, you'll start to get the hang of it, even though after several hundreds of hours of play, you still won't have truly mastered the game, and there'll always be someone with a strategy that takes you by surprise. Now, this game is fun when played solo, but it's infinitely better with friends, since information is key to winning, and communicating with friends is the best way to get that info. There is a starter edition available for Siege for cheaper than the standard edition, but I would strongly recommend not picking that up, and shelling out the extra few pounds for the standard edition, as you'll get access to the operators so much more quickly. Now, pricing for this one was a little bit hard to find since there are so many editions, but I can say that it's £17.49 in the UK, and I believe it's $19.99 in the US, but I'll put a correction in the description if someone tells me different. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is next, and this third-person adventure offers a very different experience than pretty much any other game on the market, as it explores the challenges and nature of mental illness in the form of the main character Senua's psychosis. This affects the game in huge ways, with hallucinations changing the world around Senua and voices whispering in her ear throughout, and I'd absolutely recommend you play wearing headphones to get the full effect of this, although it is a little bit creepy if you play at night with the lights turned off. While it is this exploration of mental illness that really makes this game an intriguing one, it still has a solid combat system and the graphics are just sensational. It would be easy to mistake some of the sequences from Hellblade for a movie, and at £14.99 or $17.99, I feel Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is an experience worth having. XCOM 2 is our second to last game for this sale, and I simply adore this game. The turn-based tactical gameplay offers so many ways to approach your targets, and the risk-reward system of trying to pull off something amazing but putting your soldiers in a dangerous position if it fails is so enjoyable. XCOM 2 took everything good about XCOM Enemy Unknown and just gave us more of it, with a great story based around taking the world back from the aliens, more combat options, and greater customization for our soldiers. And those soldiers quickly develop their own backstory as you go through missions, giving you a real reason to keep them alive rather than just viewing them as disposable resources. I've recommended this one before, but XCOM 2 is one of my favourite games of all time, and at £11.54, it's a bargain. Though the US gets shafted a bit here with a $19.79 price tag. And from one of my favourite games of all time to my absolute favourite game of all time, it's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Game of the Year Edition. I recommend this a lot, so I'll keep it brief, but this massive RPG has you playing as Witcher Geralt of Rivia on a quest to save his friend/adopted daughter, Ciri, from the Wild Hunt. But the truth is, you'll probably play the game for a good 40 hours before you get anywhere near that quest, because there's just so much more to do around every corner. This beautiful world will drag you in, and the additional content that you get from the Blood and Wine and Hearts of Stone DLC that comes with the Game of the Year edition offers so many more hours of great gameplay for very little outlay. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Game of the Year edition is on sale for £13.99 or $19.99. Anyway, there's my recommendations for the Steam Summer Sale 2018. Please remember that these are just my recommendations, and if you've got anything to add, please leave it in the comments to help others find great games. I can't cover absolutely everything, I haven't played absolutely everything, so if you know of other great games that are going for a bargain, let other people know. If you enjoyed the video, I'd be very appreciative of a like down below, and subscribe for more like this if you haven't already. Anyway, thanks for watching, I've been Nathan, and I'll see you next time.
Well, there we go. That was the breakdown of the Steam sale. We're going to find somebody to host here, and we're going to end it. I want to thank everybody for coming. We'll be doing it again next week. I think we'll be doing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. Sure. Well, Grimlock, he's doing Star Citizen.
Jumping animations are so good.
Yeah, we'll send you guys over to Grimlock. Hey, Crazy Canuck, we're just about to end it. We're gonna send you guys over to Grimlock. Thanks for stopping by, though. Appreciate it. Grimlock's gonna take care of you. No problem, Alphane.
For some reason, I press. Oh, there we go. There it is.
Yeah, I don't think there's animations anymore now. It just does it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Yep, it just refilled it.
Cool. All right.
Thank you, Cryastro.
All right, let's try quantum jump again. So, I saw you split up your drive. I wonder if we both have to hit the quantum jump at the same time. Like we go 3, 2, 1. Because I thought it was supposed to automatically pull you into the jump.
So I think it is. Fire in, like I said, Fire in and I were trying to get this to work earlier today for. Trying to get this to work earlier today for. Trying to get this to work earlier today for. Trying to get this to work earlier today for.
My cockpit. All right, now I'm spooling up again. It should pop up in your thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it.
Okay, and this is calibrated. Okay, so we're gonna jump on 3, or on 1, I guess.